Welcome to LaTour Retirement Talk. I'm your co-host, Tony Shore, and I'm here with our hosts, Josh LaTour and Jim Margraf. Josh and Jim, great to be here with you once again. I know we've all been busy over the summer months, but the year is flying by. We're well over halfway through now, and we're already in August. Preseason football has started, pro football. I can't believe it.
Crazy.
Time marches on.
Yep, it does. Well, how have you guys been? Jim, let's start with you.
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Doing very well. It's enjoying the summer, and in spite of the fact that we've been very busy, as listeners to the show have heard in past episodes. But the privilege we have of being able to help people and living life, enjoying life. I have my family. I count myself privileged. Have a family that we're all doing well. So I count myself a privileged man.
Wow. Well, that's great. I'm glad everybody's doing well, and I know you've got a great family there. Mm-hmm. Now, Josh, how have you been?
I've been fantastic, Tony. Yeah, I'm enjoying the summer too. Although I'm ready for some cooler temperatures. We got a taste of it this last week, and I was actually talking to somebody. Apparently, it was the coolest start to an August in this area since the mid 80s.
Wow.
So that
but
was
it
fantastic.
had been so hot. That humidity has been a killer, hasn't it?
And I think in the next couple of days it's coming back. So
yeah, that's what I've heard too. Well, hey, here's the deal, Josh. I've got kind of a bone to pick with you, or a beef.
Figures.
Pretty upset with Josh right now. I have to admit to our listeners and viewers out there, because I'm up here in Minnesota and I love working with you guys. And if I ever came to Springfield and happened to be in Springfield for whatever reason, even if it isn't LaTour asset management related, would I make the effort to just stop by and say hi at least, or maybe set up a dinner or something? You bet I would, because I care about you guys, right? And Jim, if you were up here, you'd make time to come and find me.
Absolutely, yes. Tony.
Yeah. But the LaTour family, I don't know why I'm being shunned or given the cold shoulder, but Joe LaTour himself and Josh, and this is surprising for Joe, especially. Josh, I guess I kind of expect him to blow me off because I make fun of his age and things. But no, I'm kidding. But I heard you were in the office where I'm at. Two floors up. And I'm in a recording. Somebody tells me, hey, you should go say hi. These guys are here. I have back-to-back recordings, and so I'm really busy, but I make time. I go up there. You've already left, and you did not come down to one. You did not say hi to me. I'm a little hurt by that, Josh.
I'm sorry, Tony. Can I tell you, we got to our hotel at about 11 p.m. the night before, and we headed back for the airport about 1 p.m. So it was a quick turnaround.
Yeah, and I know you were here meeting with doing some business with Gradient and another company, and so you guys flew in to do some business, get some business done, and flew back out. So I'll just giving you a hard time.
Again.
Yeah, no, if I find out you're in this building and don't come and say hi to me, that's trouble.
Well, Jim and I will be up there next month.
Yeah, you froze there for a second.
We did, yeah.
Yeah. But I know when you're up here, you're going to come say hi to me, though, aren't you?
You know it.
Yeah.
I'll drag him over, Tony.
Good. Well, hey, let's jump into our topic. I know we're talking about a serious
problem.
It's not on my end.
Nope.
Hang on, I'll pause. Well, I would appreciate that if when you guys are here, you do come see me. I appreciate that. Now, the topic we have for today is somewhat serious.
Yes.
And it's something that just it gets my goat. We've talked about this briefly before, financial scams. But you're going to talk a little bit about elder abuse as well today, which I count that as can be one and the same. Obviously,
Right.
financial scams that target the elderly are
Mhm.
horrific. I just don't know how people can live with themselves.
Right.
So where do you want to begin with this topic?
Well, when you talk about, any type of abuse or scams, I hate them all,
Yeah.
regardless of which form they come in. But because of our audience and what we're talking about here, we're specifically talking about the elder abuse and the financial scams that they have to face.
Right.
So, it is a very real threat. It's quite widespread, actually. We're talking about $3 billion a year type
Wow.
of a threat. So, I mean, that is a lot of money. 3.5 million victims a year losing money,
Mm.
and the average scam is, somewhere north of $30,000. So, I mean, when you stop and think about this, anything that can be done to slow this and impede the scammers in any way possible,
Right.
I'm all for it. We have the part that we play as financial advisors that we can help people that are being scammed or think they might have something going on. And, that's actually, a little bit of what we want to talk about today, because there are some things that we do for our clients that actually can help prevent some of that. So, it is this type of exploitation is a critical issue, and you have to be on guard. You have to be on guard all the time when it comes to your funds and the email scams, the different scams. We all get that spam email that we see, or the text messages. Before the show, we were talking about just getting the ones that say, "Hey, your package is the delivery's been held up, and you've got to contact this number," or what have you. Some variation
click
of that.
this link.
Or click, yeah. They always want you to click a link in some way.
Don't click
Yep.
links.
Don't click, yeah.
Don't
As a
ever
rule,
click a link.
don't click on links unless you know who sent it to you. And sometimes then you got to be careful. So, there's so much of this, and, it's important for us to talk about.
Yeah, I think it's really important. So the threat is obviously very real. Over $3 billion annually that older
Right.
adults are defrauded or conned out of. I just can't. That number is staggering, and
It is.
that's not good.
Yeah. So what are some of the ways that you can kind of help avoid falling for some of these things? Well, one is, if you have a good supportive family around you, having an open and honest dialogue where you're talking about money, and if you trust your family members,
Right.
bringing them into the picture can help so much. Because a lot of times, if you're just if you fall for this because you're all alone and you're not you don't have anybody else giving input.
Right.
And so having that support group around you can be so helpful to help you avoid those financial issues.
Yeah, communicate, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's
exactly.
the key. Be honest, like say, hey, I think I clicked on this. Is this okay? Or hopefully you'll ask before, but even if you think you did something dumb, we all make
Right.
mistakes. We all
Sure.
make dumb mistakes and click on things we shouldn't sometimes, but admit to it and get help and be communicative with family and friends. Have a support group. Talk to your financial advisor. I know you guys have elderly clients that come to you and say, hey, what's going on here?
My neighbor fell for one recently, and he's not even older, but had he talked to the rest of his family about it before going through with it, he wouldn't have fallen for it.
Yeah.
It was one of those easy pass scams.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
he was like, well, I was just on a trip. I know there was toll roads. Well, he was in Colorado. Easy Pass isn't in Colorado. That's Pike Pass.
Yeah.
So
Right.
There
he
you
talked
go.
to me about it afterward. I was like, oh no, that's a scam, buddy. You need to freeze your debit card, because he gave his debit card information. And so these are things that if you're open and talking about it, you may not fall for them.
Yeah. Yeah. The easy pass. And then I've been getting texts saying, you've got an unpaid ticket.
Right.
So a warrant doesn't whatever. And then I'm like, well, I did drive over. I was in Illinois and they have those automatic tickets. Iowa has them. Minnesota's getting them. I know. I don't know if Missouri has them yet, or you guys have them, but where they automatically clock you and take a picture of your license plate if you're speeding.
Awful.
Right.
Yeah, those are all over now. If you drive up into Iowa or go over to Illinois, you got to be really careful, because if you're speeding at all, they have a thing over the interstate and it takes a picture of your license plate and clocks you, and you'll get a ticket in the mail. And if you happen to miss that and not pay it, then there's a warrant. So I was paranoid about it to begin with, so I almost fell for it.
Right.
And then I realized somebody else said they got one. I'm like, oh, because I asked around and people said, don't fall for this. I searched it online and they said this is a current scam. So yeah, you have to be careful.
And one of the things, when you're talking about these types of scams, we do want to pay attention to our accounts. Every now and then I have the client that comes in and says, I haven't looked at this in a year. They've just left they invested their funds and they just leave it, and they go about their everyday life and they just leave the investment, particularly if it was a smaller one, they just, they don't pay attention to it. And you need to pay attention to your investment accounts, your credit cards, your bank statements. You have to review these things, because the scammers will find some way to get a hold of, that account number in some way, shape, or form. And, there's so much of the scams. I wish that the people who were perpetrating these would work as hard on something legitimate. I have a feeling sometimes that if they would put their extreme amounts of effort towards something that was good, man, they could benefit society so well.
Yeah, imagine if all this effort, I mean, if they're able to make $3 billion annually collectively, what could they do? Solve cancer? Imagine the number of people they could help.
I know.
And how they could help our country rather than hurt it. It's just, and especially the elderly, it's just terrible.
It is.
It is.
Absolutely.
So, this is a case where, when you're working with a financial professional, talk to them. Talk to them about these kinds of things. I've had times when I have a client that gets something in the mail, and you know what? They give me a call and they say, hey, Jim, I got something in the mail. This is what it says. Is this something that's legitimate? Do I need to pay attention to it? And does it involve, my accounts with you? And it can, some of these things look really real, right? The scammers are getting better. They're using AI technology to improve what they're doing. And I'll look and I'll say, no, that wasn't something from us. Right. You can just take that, throw it in the trash, and you don't have to worry about it. And well, you might want to pull your credit report. You might want to double check on some of your other accounts and, verify that everything else is okay. But this doesn't have anything to do with any of your financial accounts. And to them, they breathe a sigh of relief, and they get to go on about their day with knowing that, hey, nothing that I have is actually being affected. It's just a scammer trying to imitate something.
Right. I had a call on Monday from a client wondering, hey, do I have an AG Edwards account? I said, well, not with us, you don't. And it's like, I just keep getting these emails about changes I need to make to this account. I'm like, well, have you ever had an AG Edwards account? No, I've never, I don't even really know anything about them. I'm like, that's a scam.
Yep.
You're good. Just ignore those emails.
Right.
And that's why it's important. Like you said, monitor the accounts that you have, because things can get convoluted when you have accounts here and over here and all over the place. And you may forget where you have something. Well, if you're paying attention, you've got your statements together, where your accounts are when as we call them, bad actors try to use these things against us. You're going to know, hey, that's full of it. Yeah. So you can kind of armor yourself that way.
I think that's a great point. In fact, Josh, that just points out why it's so important. If people are working with your team there at LaTour, Jim and Josh and your team there, and have their accounts with you,
Right.
All their
Right.
accounts are with you guys, then they can keep track of them. These people that have accounts all over, or a 401k that they left at an old company, or an IRA over here, one over
Yep.
Right.
here, you can really help them. That's one of the things you do for your clients when they come, is
Absolutely.
help not put everything in one place, but at least consolidate. You don't need 3 401ks. You don't need 4 IRAs
Right.
necessarily. You want to make sure that you're somewhat consolidated and know where everything is at, and regularly
Mhm.
review it, which is what you do with your clients. And that's going to help avoid fraud and scams as well, because they can call you up and say, do I have an account here, or should there be money being moved here? And you can say,
Right.
no, that should not be happening, or no, you don't have an
Exactly.
account there. Just ignore it or delete it. So I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no substitute to just overall paying attention
Right.
and
Yeah.
to this, and being aware of where you have accounts. Another thing is, and this is something that we do with all of our clients, when we open up an account now, what we're doing is we set up a trusted trusted contact
Yeah.
for them. So if there's some type of fraud, or we suspect something's going on, we've established with the client, okay, so who is a third party that we can contact that's in your life, who would be someone that you would have a face-to-face relationship with, that it's not your spouse, but someone outside the household, that we can say, hey, you give us permission to call this person if we think something's wrong, and they can come over and talk to you in person. And sometimes it's a phone, your phone number has been scammed, or your email, and we get an email and we're like, there's something wrong here. So we'll pick up the phone, but if the phone lines have been hacked in some way, then that can be an issue, because the scammers, they can spoof phone numbers, especially with all of our cell phones. So this is something where we do that with that trusted contact, so we have a third party to help verify, are we talking to the right person? Is there something going on? Yes or no? And that alone is a big help.
Well, that's a huge help, and I would agree. So there are a lot of things you guys are listing off that can help people avoid these financial scams and elder abuse. Again, I come back to leaning on professionals for long-term protection.
Right.
But again, those of us who aren't yet seniors, some of us closer than others. I'm looking, the fingers pointed back at me, right?
There you go.
But there you go, says Jim. But Jim, you're not that far behind me. But
Unfortunately, I'm not.
but we're not in the senior category yet. So,
No.
but those of us who aren't can help. I find that I have to help my mom and dad. My dad has gotten scammed. My mother-in-law has gotten scammed, and so I'm working really hard to make sure that they don't fall for these. And I'm like, Dad, don't stop sending people money or writing checks. I mean, you got to stop.
You got to stop that.
Yeah.
My father-in-law has been living with us for a few years now, and the scams that come in the mailbox for him, of course, because we get the mail, it's all in with our stuff. We look at it and we go, well, hello, that's a scam. I mean, you can get 3 or 4 at one time, and addressed to him. It's really ridiculous that how much it is out there.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I want to talk about are some of the different types of scams that are out there, because there are the things where scammers act as though they're the grandchild.
Right.
And when we're talking to our clients, the grandchildren are a focus for the grandparents. They love being with the grandkids. But as those grandkids start to get to a place where they're adults, and hey, they're out doing other things, and so this scam can be pretty easy to perpetrate on somebody, because what if you have a grandchild that is somewhere else, they're not living at home anymore, and you get the scammer that calls up as though it's that grandson or granddaughter and saying, hey, grandpa, grandma, I need some money because I've got an issue, and can you wire money to? That's a big red flag. As soon as they're asking you to wire some money, what you need to do is hang up the phone and then call your son or daughter and say, hey, where is such and such grandchild? I just got a call. I think it might be a fake, but I just want to verify.
Yeah,
and that is the biggest thing, is for you to hang up that phone call and then pick up the phone and call the actual number that you would have for someone.
Yeah, because I mean, they're getting good too with artificial intelligence being able to mimic voices and everything.
Yes.
I mean, it's unfortunately a sophisticated process that they're using to perpetrate these scams.
Yeah, that's a bad one. And, a lot of them tug at the heart, like, your grandchild, is in jail, or he needs bailed out, or, those kinds. That's tough for a grandparent to hear and not do something about.
It is.
Yep.
Yeah, another one is going to be your financial services scams, which is one that I've already mentioned, just like the A.G. Edwards ones. They're fraudsters that are impersonating a bank or a mortgage company, a debt company, something like that, where they're saying you need to update your password with us or something like that. Don't ever, if you get a random email that says you need to update your password, do not click on that link. Just as a general rule. If I get something like that, if I think that it might be legit, I will go to the website that I would already go to, or if I have the app on my phone, let's say it's Chase Bank, I would go there and check. Because you can always go there and check. But if you're clicking on a random link, you don't know where that came from.
Or if you're calling back a number that was left on your phone or your voicemail, they can leave a fake number, and they're faking that company. They can pick up. It can sound professional. I mean, they've gotten very sophisticated. So look the number up separately from whatever communication you got. Don't click on a link or use a phone number that's in a text or an email that you receive.
Yeah, it turns out my Xfinity membership ends up getting close to running out all the time. I don't have an Xfinity membership, but also I've had a number of student loans forgiven, which I never had. So.
Awesome. Same exact thing. I've had those too. What's another scam to look out for?
Well, it's all of the tech support scams. I had to help my dad out with one of these, getting that scam that says, hey, there's a problem with your computer, and you click this link and we'll help fix it and put your credit card in. And there's actually a couple of movies out there about something along that line. Of course, it always involves some paramilitary revenge scenario that from some relative or something like that. But those types of things are actually out there. There's a lot of them, and you gotta watch out for them. Another one is somebody posing as the IRS. This one's really a pain because nobody really wants to deal with the IRS, and if you owe them money and you don't pay, well, that's a big problem. But then the scammers are using that, knowing that you're going to freak out when you get this letter saying you owe money to the IRS. And, well, do you really?
Yeah. I think just the good rule of thumb is, guess what government agencies never do? They don't call you.
Never.
Social Security Administration, the IRS, and some of those major companies. Microsoft is never going to call you on the phone. Apple is not going to call you on the phone. Amazon will never call you on the phone.
No, they want you to email to order from their app or online.
Google won't call you from none of those places will ever call you. So if you answer the phone and they say we're with, just hang up.
Yep.
And then you can always look up the number if you're really concerned about it, or talk to a financial advisor like Jim and Josh here and say, hey, this place called me. You think that was legit?
No.
And if it was a bank, say, do you bank with them? Yeah, well, go to the bank, but they're probably not calling you on the phone. Right?
No.
Unless you called them and asked them to call you, that's a little different. But even then, no government agency and no major internet corporation like Microsoft, Google, Apple, Amazon will ever call you for any reason on the phone. They just don't do it.
Right.
Yeah. No, we actually had a it was actually more of an elder abuse situation instead of a scam, where we had a client that had an account with us, and it was actually a granddaughter that she was raising
Mhm.
that was abusing grandma. And
Oh,
she knew that grandma had some money, and she got grandma to come in and withdraw funds. And
wow.
yeah, and so the first time it happened, you don't, the kids are the granddaughter's in the car, and she just comes in and says, "Yeah, I need to withdraw some money. I'm doing such and such," and it was all sound legitimate. However, the behavior was off.
Right.
And so it raised a red flag, and we made a note of it. But then it happened again, like 2 months later. And so we called. We called and reported it. And turns out that the granddaughter was scamming the grandmother and was just basically taking all the grandmother's money. She had emptied like her bank accounts and other stuff,
Oh,
but she had done it through abuse and kind of bullied her grandmother. So the grandmother was actually the one going in, getting the money out, and then giving it to the granddaughter. But she was being bullied into doing it.
yeah.
So
That's elder abuse, and that's
That's
terrible. And that
elder.
happens.
It does happen, and I'm glad that we were at least able to report it and get the investigation going. So I don't, once it's reported, I don't know where it ends up.
Sure.
So we're kind of the legal system doesn't let us know what happened, of
Right.
course, but it was reported. There was an investigation, and but these things do happen, and so having someone who's like Josh and I, we're fiduciaries, so we're looking out for the best interests of our clients, trying to help them out. But someone comes in and, well, we've been meeting with them for the past couple of years, and now all of a sudden the behavior is off. It's different. Something's just not right. We're paying attention to those kinds of things.
Right.
Yeah.
And so on that kind of stuff, we've got your back.
Yeah, I think that's great. Well, we're out of time for today's show. It flew by. We didn't even get to all the different scams. There are so many.
There are.
But if people want to know about them or think something might be a scam, they can give you a call. And really, any of our listeners out there who haven't gotten a second opinion or aren't working with a trusted financial services professional, like yourselves at LaTour Asset Management, they should give you a call. How can they get a hold of you?
Absolutely, Tony. Well, like you said, they just need to give us a call. Our number is 417-641-3497. Pick up the phone, give us a call. We're here. We want to talk to you. We want to help you out. So, and go check out our website, LaTourAsset.com.
All right. Sounds great. Thank you, Jim and Josh. Listeners, that does it for today's episode of LaTour Retirement Talk.